It's like it's 1962. That's exactly what it would have smelt and tastes like. New old stock, NOS. Is it just me, or does that look like a transmission pan bolt that is backed out just about all the way? This thing sounds throaty. You know, you never know what somebody did before us, you know? And it is, why? Why? It hasn't been done since at least 1975. We're working on the 62 AMC Rambler again, and we're gonna torque head bolts and adjust valves per the book so that we don't blow up this 196 cubic inch straight six on its maiden voyage. The very first thing we gotta do is rip a part out from under the dash, our heater control valve, because we don't want to happen what happened the last time, do we? We got a brand new one right here in this package. I haven't seen it yet. It's sealed. It's just the way it was shipped to me. This is an NOS part, new old stock. So this is a brand new AMC part made somewhere around 1962 and was never installed on a car. And so that's what we're going to use. Brand new 1962 heater control valve right here. Let's get the original one out that's rusted out and swap them. We will open this once we get the old one out. Actually, now that we came in the car here, I'm realizing that we should probably go on the outside and disconnect the hoses first. These two hoses up in the corner here, those things are such a pain, but let's start working on them. The faster we get them off, the faster we get this done, and the faster we get to fire the engine up to do the valves and everything. Hopefully we can do this here without too much frustration. Oh, nice. Oh, maybe it's going easy because we had all this taken apart before. So that's good. Okay, there we go. Got the second clamp now. I was not expecting that to go easy, but now it's probably going to be a little difficult pulling them off, pulling the hoses off now. And I'm expecting coolant spillage to the max. Okay, it's moving, that's good. Again, probably because we put brand new hoses on. We did all the fighting with the hoses that have been on here for decades in the previous video. And I am not prepared for coolant to come out of here, so let me find something to put under here. Well, actually, let's just pull the hose off and whatever happens, happens. One day a guy will have pans and whatnot, and nothing came out. That's probably because we lost a healthy amount in that previous video where we discovered that the heater control valve was leaking. Now for the second hose. There we go. There we go. It's a balance between getting the hose off and not ripping your shoulder out of its socket. You know? But, you know, sometimes you gotta rip your shoulder out of the socket to get the hose off because, you know, how bad do you want it? A little bit of water, not bad. Totally acceptable. So that's what the heater control valve looks like out here with the hoses off. And now we can come back under here with some tools and disconnect ourselves from down here and the whole piece will come out. Alright, I grabbed a 5/16. There are two little bolts we gotta take out, look like 5/16. So let's find out. Yep. Yep, I was right. Of course I was right. Okay, get down here and witness this because I don't know what this is going to look like when it comes out. Now, first I want to note that there is some cableage and wireage that will need to be swapped over to the new old stock part, but we're not worried about that right now. Right now we just don't want we don't want coolant pouring directly into the car. That's all we're worried about. Okay, there it is. The old one is out. That's the hole it came out of, and I'm pretty sure it was rusted through and rotted, which is why it was leaking. This right here is connected to this cable. This is off. This is for the heat, obviously. You know, and up would be high. But we're not gonna goof with any of this stuff right now. Let's just get the new one in. So far, so good. Now let's see what this new old stock part looks like. Well, I'm sure it'll look very similar to the one that we just uninstalled. Actually, it might look identical. Nothing wrong with creative packaging. Boy, this guy sure wanted to make sure that this package wasn't going to come apart, didn't he? So the packaging is getting more creative the deeper we get into it. Huh. Now we're down to the homemade box. Gee, does this not look like the type of tightly wrapped and taped bundle you'd see on a movie where they're transporting illegal bundles, maybe on a submarine or something? You know what I mean? I mean, it sure is waterproof. I think I'm going to take a break. I appreciate this stranger making this part available for purchase. Oh, I didn't tell you. Bought this from someone on eBay. Probably could have told you that earlier. Wow, here we are. Okay, we're here, but we're still going with the tape. Let me show you what I'm seeing through the bubbles here. There's the AMC logo. I hope this is as exciting for you as it is for me. Ta-da! As long as this says H16 on it, we are good to go. Oh, it's like it's 1962. If it was 1962 and you grabbed this off the part shelf at work, oh, it's exactly what it would have smelt and tastes like. H16, just what I was looking for. Look at that. New old stock, NOS. Not brand spanking new, but it is brand spanking new. Doesn't get any cooler than that, does it? Now this should not be rusted out inside because it's never had water sitting in it for 47 years. And as much as I would love to put this on a shelf like a museum piece and never use it, well, these are the only ones that exist. So there is no choice, there is no aftermarket for this. Let's install it in the car and then we can move on, because I want to fire this thing up and get the head bolts torqued and get the valve set. And no, I'm not doing any classic Freeman stuff that I typically do, where I'm going to take these 2 screws and I'm going to spend the next 3 days restoring these so that they look brand new, even though they were just screws anyways to begin with from the factory. Not doing it. We're just sticking this thing in. Look at how smooth this new one is. But again, we're not going to hook all this stuff up. Future video. Future video. Man, I gotta tell you, all the spilt coolant in here really makes this car smell like a pea-soaked mattress. We're gonna have to put carpet in this car. I mean, it's a good excuse, right? We gotta put carpet in it now. I mean, look at how nice the door closes. It deserves carpet. Well, now I just need to remember which hose goes where. Was it this longer one here that swoops over the top? This went to towards the back, right? I think, pretty sure. You'll have to re-watch the earlier parts of the video, I guess, to find out if I'm making a fatal mistake or not. But before I put the hoses on, check that out. So that's what that looks like with a brand new old stock heater control valve installed from out here. Nice and shiny. I'm pretty sure I'm putting these hoses back on in the right position. The fact that I'm putting them on tells you that I'm pretty confident. Although I have been known to redo work more than once. So far, smooth as X-Lax on a Friday night. Okay, that one's on perfect. Now we just gotta get the second one on real quick. Alright, success. Except for, I just had a thought here. In a future video, when we take this master cylinder off the car to attempt to rebuild it, are we gonna have to take these hoses off again to get the master cylinder out of here? I don't know, I guess we'll find out. But for now, hoses are done. That went way too smooth. Everything came off too easy and everything went on too easy. But hey, heater control valve done. Hoses back on. Let's throw our brand new crankcase vent hose, if you want to call it that, onto our engine here. Because it needs to be done, and we have the new hose sitting right here and it's easy pickings. So let's knock that out real quick. That's what this random piece of hose floating around under the hood here is for. It's to replace this one here, this rotten Nixon era, rock hard Nixon era hose. Goes right there onto that push rod cover, and it comes up around the front of the valve cover here and connects right there. It's just a crankcase vent. We're cleaning up and reusing the original clamps. This is the one that goes on the push rod cover end of the hose, so I'll do this one first, get the hose attached, and go from there. And no, I'm not restoring this, just cleaning it up. Not gonna take forever. What do you know? Chicago. Back when a lot of stuff was made in Chicago, the screwdriver was. Let's put a drop of oil onto this. Now I'll show you just how far I clean that up. Now I would love to paint this engine, but it's not happening this week. So things like this, I just clean this up just so that it's clean and it can function properly and can be reused. But if/when we paint the engine in the Rambler here, when we get around to doing that, then we can do an actual restoration on all these little pieces so that they can look and perform, look like new as well as perform like new. Oh, that's like butter now. All that needed was a little bit of oil. Get our clamp on, and then let's use the natural curve of the hose to help get us going in the direction that we want. There we go, that's gonna work good. That's a good start. This clamp's a little stubborn. Gotta work her back and forth here. She's been on here for a long time. There she goes. Just loosening it up now. We should be able to get this hose off completely. Clean up this clamp. And then cut our new hose to fit. Tighten the clamps down. That is done. Then we're pretty much ready to fire this engine up, I do believe. This hose is giving me a hard time here, but this is how old and not supple it is. You just hear that crunch? Old hoses. That's what you call not fit for duty. A little bit of gunk in here too from the hose. Learning some new stuff here, which is neat. That says something on it. There's no way in the world I'll ever be able to read that. But I was just playing around with that screwdriver in here just to get any gunk out that might be in there. And listen. I'm going to be gentle with it just in case. There's kind of a metallic clicky sound when I'm pushing on this in here. It's some sort of valve, I guess, crankcase valve of some sort. That's pretty neat. I had no clue that that was even there. So I'll be doing some research on that off camera to figure out what the process of that system is all about and what it does. It's pretty obvious what it's for, right? But I want the deets, you know, I want the details. I didn't know that was there. The thing about cutting hoses is once you cut, you can't go back. I kind of don't want to show you this because it makes me look dumb, but that doesn't say anything on there. It's just a some type of piece of tape. Looked like it said something. But, you know, at least I can admit it, right? Alright, let's get our clamp on there. And then let's get that on. Okay, we got to snug up the clamps, but this is how it turned out. Not too much hang edge off over here, but also not so tight that it just what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, what is the word I'm looking for? It's right there. Oh, I can't think of the word. Anyways, I think you know what I'm saying. And we got it running just like that. Just like the factory hose was. There we go. Ventilation. You know, I actually don't like the clamp facing in this direction. I think it would look better if the screw was on this side and it was vertical. But I'm not going to undo it and take the hose off and then, you know, do all that. I think I'm just gonna have to just deal with it and it's gonna be fine. Alright, we're at a point where we could fire this thing up and then do the meat and potatoes of this video here. Except for there's two challenges. One, I'm not too concerned about, but the other challenge, yeah, we probably should have talked about it a long time ago. The first challenge is that we know that our thermostat housing leaks a little bit. Now, we could fix that, but it's probably going to involve some Romeo Tango Victor, and it's going to need to cure for 24 hours-ish. So what we're going to do with that is, even though I'd like to fix it right now, we're going to pretend that it might still fix itself, which it could. So we're just going to leave that alone. The big challenge though that I actually am concerned about, that we should have looked more into a long time ago because we knew about it, is the transmission leak. Now, here's why it's actually affecting us right now though. We've seen the transmission leak in previous videos. Every time we fire the thing up, it skaplooshes a bunch of tranny fluid on the ground. But if I remember right, in the previous video with this 62 Rambler, didn't we pull the dipstick for the transmission and it was bone dry? Oh, well, there's something on here. I don't know if I would call it transmission fluid. Well, I'm happy to see something on here. I know it was bone dry last time, but that's probably because we had just run it and, you know, everything in there spins and fluid goes everywhere. But there's no way that we're topped off, because we've lost so much in previous videos on the floor. And I'd rather not run this stuff through there anyways. But the question is, if we fire the engine up and let it run long enough to warm up so we can do our head bolts and our valves, are we going to risk damaging the transmission with that nasty stuff in there? Or, you know, should we drop the pan and wipe things out and put $40 in or more in transmission fluid in there right now when it leaks? Because we know there's a leak. We got to figure out where it's leaking from. That's the other thing. Actually, I just thought about this. If we're going to have any transmission woes, I'm sure we've already caused that, but I don't feel like we have. I feel like everything's going to be just fine. We just got to keep going one step at a time here. But since we're going to fire this up to do our head bolts and our valves, because we got to get things warmed up, we need to take advantage of it. And we need to figure out where the transmission fluid is leaking from. We need to nail that this engine running session. My guess is that it's either puking out the vent or it's leaking out past the front seal of the transmission. If it's leaking out past the seal, then we gotta drop the transmission to fix it. But let's start with a visual inspection first. Yeah, we should have done this a long time ago, but it was after the last video with this car where I kinda started to get a little freaked out, if you know what I mean. But that's okay, because we're doing the right thing now. So we were just looking down on the passenger side, that's where it's all wet, or the majority of the wetness is. And over here on the driver's side, not so much. Let's go underneath. Oh, actually, before we go underneath, I should probably point this out so this makes a little bit more sense. So that wetness, or that layer of old oil built up right around there, in between the orange wire and that fuel line right there, that is, I believe, from the side covers here leaking in years past. So that's engine oil, that's not transmission fluid. But if you look back down on the transmission, look beyond that orange wire. Oh, come on, light. Cooperate with us here. That's all transmission fluid back there. Well, let's go back to my native home, where I feel most comfortable in this world. Laying on a piece of used cardboard. At first glance, the transmission fluid is all over the pan. So that's good news. But it still could be the front seal. I'm gonna have to stick my nose up in here for a few minutes and really sniff around. You know what we need to do? Is the only thing to do. Let's fire this thing up and begin our warm-up process. And let's just make a point to stick our eyeballs all over down in there and try to spot where the transmission fluid's coming out. Alright, I went and filled this gas can because I'm a smart man. So that is plumb full, maybe a little bit too full. Stick our fuel line in there that's connected to our rebuilt dual action fuel pump. Alright, making sure our plug wires are hooked back up from a previous video where we had to get those out of our way. Okay, I think we're good here. Alright, we are going to fire this up. We just need to hook up our power to our ignition to the battery that we got to set in the tray here. So battery, hook up power to the points, we got fuel. We'll fire it up and then we'll try to find out where we are leaking tranny fluid from. Maybe we could fix it right here, right now. Or at least just figure out where it's coming from and we can finish today's mission and then we can fix the leak next time. Alright, battery successfully stolen from a different vehicle. Isn't that just the way it goes? Remote starter switch goes onto the green wire. We might have to actually hook this throttle back up to get it to idle right. I don't know. We'll find out. We got sparks, so we know we got power to the ignition. Give a little jump start. I am prepared with another light to go down to Kokomo and spot around for leaking transmission fluid. So let's see what happens, and we might have to add some water too because we're low from the previous video where we had coolant leakage. So let's see what happens. There we go, just had a loose connection. Well, I'm going to see if there's any transmission fluid leaking already. Alright. Nothing yet. We might be a little bit low on transmission fluid anyways, so we might add some. Yeah, we might add some, but let's start it up again. We need to get this fuel pump primed and pumping. Okay, we just got our first drop of transmission fluid, so let's kill our power to our ignition and let's investigate this. Alrighty, so we got a drop right there, which is, oh gosh, alright. The baggage. Let's see. It dripped right off of the transmission cross member. And I think if we move back a little bit. Okay. It came from right there. Okay, I hope it's just coming off the front of the pan and not the front seal. I don't know how I'm ever going to figure this out though, because I don't remember. Can I fit under here, or are we going to have to jack the car up? Somehow I wedged over half my body underneath here, and I was just sliding back out to tell you that it's basically impossible to tell exactly where the fluid's coming from, but I spotted something on the way out. Now, I'm no mantis shrimp, but my eyesight was able to spot this. Is it just me, or does that look like a transmission pan bolt that is backed out just about all the way? Oh, great. Just what I need. No, don't come over here. I'm trapped underneath this car and I'm in pain. No. Get out of here, flea bag. Do not touch me. Well, I don't even know how I'm even going to tighten that bolt up, but I'm going to go to the other side and see if I can see a second one. But that's a tight fit under there. Huh, 67 Chevy key fell out of my pocket. I'm not being mean to that furry creature, but the challenge is I've learned from experience that if you're too nice and you make those things want to, you know, keep coming around. Then you end up with animals hanging out on top of your vehicles. And then if you have anything that has halfway decent paint, well, kiss that goodbye. It's hard to really even squeeze my head back up in there again, but the closest bolt to the front corner, closest to us, doesn't appear to be loose. It probably is though, but I'm going to go ahead and say that loose hardware is our culprit. Which is great news, because now we get to pretend that it's 100% sure that the front seal doesn't need to be replaced, which makes things a lot easier on us. So in the feature video, before we run the car up and down the road, we'll drop that trans pan and we'll clean out what we can, and we'll do a new gasket. We'll do a nice bead of RTV around there, and we'll snug the bolts up, and we'll put fresh transmission fluid in, which my guess is it's going to be 9, 10, or 11 quarts maybe. So for now, the leak is just what it is. I can't tell you how many videos has it been where, with this car, where the video started with me saying that we were going to torque these head bolts and do the valves, and then it never happens. So let's make it happen, shall we? Well, we need to get this thing to idle on its own here. Get kind of nervous about that too. I don't think we've ever had the car here idling this long on its own. Our refill job on our fuel pump definitely worked. I can see some water in here, that's good. You should probably add some though. This thing sounds throaty. It's kind of cool. Oh, we never even thought about what position the heater control valve was in, did we? Here, let's grab a light. And well, we're not leaking. I'm not sure where we're set, if we're running coolant through the heater core or not. Doesn't really matter right now, but either way, we don't have anything leaking in here, so mission accomplished there. That's a little close for comfort. I like to live dangerously, but not that dangerously. Our heater hoses are hot, so we're definitely running coolant through them. I did overfill it too, so I wanted to let it spit some of the nasty stuff out. Even though we did do a cooling system flush in a previous video, there's always more in there. Alright, this needs to go back into my pickup truck so that I have a working vehicle. All right, it is finally time to do what we've been trying to do on this engine for a long time. We just have to not strip these out because these are Phillips head. Why are they Phillips head? I don't know. But let's hope we don't strip them out because we are going to be doing this about every 4,000, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8,000 miles with this car. Depends on exactly how we feel like doing it. Nice. What kind of a maintenance routine we get into. We're doing what the book says, but a little bit by feel as well, if you know what I mean. I'm gonna set that by the oil filter. Let's hope this one goes well. Oh, nice. We gotta get some of this junk out of here before we pop this valve cover off, or some of the stuff is gonna fall in. That giant spider. It's been there forever. These snail shells. We gotta get this junk out of here. We don't want it getting in here, do we? This is another thing we should have done a long time ago, but you know. You know how it is. I don't know what kind of spider that is/was, but I think it molted. Is molting still a thing? Do things still molt these days? Or is that not in style anymore? Are the young arachnopods still molting? I don't even know what I'm talking about. It's definitely hot, but we're able to touch it. What are we snagged on here? I'm pretty sure that we did not overheat this engine. Might have gotten a little bit warmer than I would have liked it to have been, but there's no way of knowing what temperature it's at, and there's not even in the simple temp gauge in the dash. That, you know, that didn't help us because we don't have power to the dashboard. We don't have a key. What? What the heck? Oh, I see. We just had to be a man about it, that's all. How's our gasket look? Looks very reusable. It's nice and clean under here. That's good. Everything looks great from the initial visual inspection. Since we've got the cover off, I'm looking real closely here for anything that might be broken. And I don't see anything that doesn't look right. I don't see anything broken, cracked, bent. Which, you know, that's always good to see. Or good not to see. Okay, so the technical service manual calls for a torque spec of 58 to 62 foot-pounds. So we're gonna go right in the middle, right in the rocking chair, safe as in your mama's womb, 60 foot-pounds. But the thing is, it looks to me like one of these head bolts really requires you to take the carburetor off. This could kind of present a little bit of a controversy. Find out in the comments if you want. But I don't think it's worth taking the carburetor off to torque this one bolt. I mean, it really just depends on how fancy pants you want to get here. Now I've counted 15 head bolts, and we're going to start right here in the middle on this side. And so we'll tighten that one, and then we'll go that one, and then that one, and we'll do a spiral pattern until we've got them all. And there's actually a couple studs. That one's actually a nut on a stud, and then on the opposite end, this one as well. Let's get a little bit of more light in here, because what I wanted to show you here is, see, well, that's the first one right there that we're going to hit. And then we're going to come up to that one, which we might be able to get onto. But then the second one, which is, oh, let me move this. Okay, so that one right there we might be able to get onto, but then when we hop over to this one right there in the center of your screen, right below the body of the carburetor, I'm not sure, I don't think we're going to be able to get a socket or anything on there. And because this cylinder head has been on this engine block forever, and it's ran a million times, and I'm sure the bolts have been retorqued a million times. Are you ever, you know, if you set the torque wrench to 60 foot-pounds, are you really actually torquing anything to 60 foot-pounds? I mean, come on, let's be serious here. So it's all just kind of windows, right, that we're falling into. So we could probably just do the first two and get a feel for how much they're actually moving, and then just go for the same feel with a box end wrench or something on that third one. And then after that, we should be able to get the actual torque wrench on the rest of them. I don't know. You know, Lord knows I'm not a saint. I'm just a guy trying to fall into the averages for the most part, you know. I'm just trying to get the basic mission accomplished for starters. Okay, so 60 foot-pounds. Let's, alright, let's go for it. 5/8. I think if you were driving this car every day, year after year, and you've got your routine down of how you do your maintenance, you know, I think you could grab that 1/2 inch socket when you've got a 3/8 ratchet. I really think that you could pull into your driveway with the engine warmed up, get home from work, engine's warmed up, you could pop the hood, you could take the valve cover off, and you could get these head bolts checked slash retorqued in 10 minutes. Do that every year, every 2 years, or every, you know, 4,000 miles or 8,000 miles. You gotta just take the information from the manufacturer and then your own experience and just figure out how you want to do it. But my point is you could probably get this done in 10 minutes. Okay, so we're set at 60 foot-pounds. Let's see if these head bolts tighten up or not. Let's see if they're loose. And note our oil seepage between the cylinder block and the head here. And also note that this has not been done to this car since at least 1975. And this video is for entertainment purposes, but if you found yourself with a 196, Nash Design 196, and you're doing this stuff for the first time at home, trying to get one of these back on the road, well, this is this is a good video to have around because there's not a lot of them. That's tight. It didn't budge at all. I don't know if not budging is good or bad. This is a little goofy here with this extension and this wobble, but yeah, that didn't move either. Good news or bad news? I don't know. But let's skip over this third one that we're not going to even be able to get anything on anyway. Let's ditch the extension. Let's go straight to this one. Actually, no, I take that back. I want to do 1, 2, 3, and then I want to do 4, and then 5. So let's do this one here. This is one of those cool mystery moments. Oh, it was on 1,000 foot-pound. Oh, I probably snapped those then. Oh, kidding. And the Emmy goes to... Yes, that didn't move either. You know, you never know what somebody did before us, you know? Didn't move either. Alright, let's jump up to the one right behind where we started. That'll be our 6th, and then we'll hop straight across for our 7th head bolt. Okay. You know, this is disappointing. I was really hoping that these are gonna tighten up some. And then we could go, whoa, cool, it worked. But, you know, at least though, things are consistent. I shouldn't have said that. Watch, now this one's gonna be way different than all the other ones. And it is. Why? 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 Why did I have to say that? I should have just kept my trap shut and all of them would have just felt the exact same, and then we would know, oh, everything is probably uniform. Or maybe this is a good thing. This, you know what? This is a good thing. This is good. This is good. This is good. It's tightening up. This is good. Okay, now we're at 60. This is good. This is a good thing. Now we're on number 10. Okay, that didn't move. Now we're on 11. Boy, I'm pretty good at math today, aren't I? And memorizing. Memorizing? Okay, hold on. This one's moving. There you go. Cool. 4 more to go, right? This is 12. Okay. Oh, now we're going to that stud. We're gonna have to... Yeah. We're gonna need a deep well for that, aren't we? Watch, that'll be the one socket in this garage that's missing. And somehow I found it right away. I don't know how that's even possible. Okay, so this is the 13th. And we got a little wire in our way. Okay, number 13. Felt like that one was going to tighten up a little bit, but it didn't. Okay, now 14 and 15. And these are the two all the way up here at the back end. Okay, I gotta switch back to the short well socket, and then we'll swap back to the deep well. And if the good Lord's willing and the creeks don't rise, we'll be done torquing the head bolts. That's right. Okay, there you go. So I'm sure you've been watching all the Freeman's Garage videos with this 62 Rambler, and you did see the previous one where we cleaned out the lifter wells / cesspools, and we did that because a viewer, I'm sure he's watching, sent in a letter. He wrote into the show, sent a letter to the Freeman's Garage P.O. Box, informing us basically that we would destroy this engine if we didn't go inside there and clean out the cesspools. He's probably watching this right now, and as soon as he watched us go through all these bolts that were all the same, and then as soon as we hit the one that was different, he says to his television screen, "Oh, cylinder head's warped, it's got to come off." But little do we know, we're sitting here just going along with everything. Well, let's hope that's not the case. Let's hope he comments on this video or writes in and says, "Great job, that was perfect, everything looks great. That car's gonna do 1,000,000 miles." Now we just gotta do these valves, and we are home free. I'm gonna set this torque wrench back down to its minimum torque value. 20 foot-pounds, that way there is no tension on the spring during storage. I got a 3/4 inch socket on the crankshaft pulley now, and I'm turning our engine over until on this first cylinder here I've got the intake and the exhaust valve both closed at the same time. Okay, so we're in a position now where the intake and the exhaust valve, they are both closed on this cylinder right here. And so we're in our little zonage where we got our slack here. And so now we're going to take this feeler gauge, and we want to have 12 thousandths fit nice and snug in here in the intake, and then for the exhaust we want 16 thousandths to fit nice and snug in there. And we're going to adjust it right here. We can put a wrench right here and we can tighten and loosen that. And we're going to do that for all 6 of the cylinders. And of course, remember that we don't know if any of these even need to be adjusted at all, but we know that it hasn't been done since at least 1975, and the technical service manual calls for it periodically. So we probably should do that. And if the valves are too tight, the engine's not going to run right. If they're really too tight, it's not going to run at all. So we want to make sure we have this good to go, and that's too loose, so we're going to snug up on that. It should be a 7/16, it looks like it, and I'm going to use a line wrench. Yep, 7/16. Okay, let's turn forward. Well, I mean, because that would tighten it, right? Because that'd be going, if you turned it forward away from us, it'd be righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, right? So that makes sense. I don't think we need to do a whole bunch at once. Actually, it's a little loose. A little bit more, I guess, huh? I wasn't expecting to turn it this much, but I suppose you never know. And when it's all said and done, we do want clicky clacky in here. That's the way it's supposed to be. Engines like this are supposed to clink and clank a little bit up top when they're running. Right, we need to go a little bit tighter. It's always, you know, there's always that bit of paranoia doing stuff like this, though, where even though if you're confident in what you're doing, it's kind of, you know, oh, I'm a little nervous to be turning on stuff here, but you know, you just gotta just get a clue of what you're doing and then just go for it. It's just metal. Here, come check it out, man. Nice and tight. Not too tight. It's not. Looks like it's scraping on the feeler gauge, which kind of makes me think it's too tight, but no, I mean that's nice and firm. If anything, could maybe even be a little bit tighter, but we're just gonna err on the side of caution. And then here's our clicky clacky we still got going on. So I feel good about that. You know what, let's keep this shot live. Let's keep it in vivo. Let's hop up to the 16 thou and see what our exhaust feels like. And that's pretty loose too, so probably a good thing we're doing this, huh? Put this on there, tighten it up a little bit. I don't want to do too much because otherwise we're just going to be wasting a whole bunch of time. We'll go a little more snug than that. I'm going to put you back up on your perch though so I can get 2 paws on this. Boy, I sure can't wait to be driving this car because it's going to be very satisfying looking back on all the work we've done to it and these little maintenance bits. It's going to feel 10 times better when it's purring down that blacktop, right? That 2-lane blacktop. Teeny bit more. Itsy witsy teeny polka dot bikini. Is that how that song goes? It's a itsy bitsy. No, it's not right. No, I started doing itsy bitsy spider. I'm gonna call that good. It could probably be a little bit snugger, but I don't want to overdo it. Couple things to note on this. I suppose if a guy knew the 196 firing order off the top of his head, in fact, hold on, maybe it's stamped onto the intake. It might be, I don't see it, but you know what I do see stamped onto the intake? Is exactly what we just did. Valve setting, hot, intake 12 thousandths, exhaust 16 thousandths. Well, that would have saved me a lot of time. Anyways, if a guy knew the firing order off the top of his head and didn't want to have to dig for it, we could just hop to the next cylinder and then just bounce around following the firing order, and we would be able to get our little slack spots a lot faster for each cylinder. It might save us some time. But instead what we're going to do is we're just going to hop to the next cylinder in order, or in the line here. Let's hop to the next one, and then we'll just crank the engine over a few extra times by hand and watch the exhaust go down and up, and then the intake down and then up, and we settle into that slack spot. Why do I keep calling it that? But we're going to do that. It's going to be a little bit of extra turning the engine over, I think. It's probably how it's going to work out, but let's just do it and get it done, because when it's done, it's done. You know, I'm feeling pretty confident right now. Okay, we went intake, exhaust. It's not going to be intake, exhaust, intake, exhaust, intake, exhaust. In fact, on this engine, I think it goes intake, exhaust, exhaust, intake. I believe I should probably try to double check that. Otherwise, you might run into some problems, if you know what I mean. Oh yeah, it's got to be, because I'm looking at how the exhaust manifold bolts up to the cylinder head. So yeah, intake, exhaust, exhaust, intake. So that means we're going 12 thousandths, 16 thousandths, 16 thousandths, 12 thousandths. Okay. And exhaust coming up, intake going down. intake coming up. Wait until we get into that sweet zone. Ow. Okay, I think we are there. Hey, what's a song? What's a popular song from 1962? Oh, I thought of one. Share. I'm not. Okay. I don't think I should even attempt Frankie Valli's vocals. Okay. I'll just say, Sherry baby. Sherry baby, won't you come out tonight? Right? That's gotta be. Oh, it's early 60s, I can tell you that. Oh, see? Screwing up here. I was just doing 12 thousandths on this exhaust. Ah, see? Then I go into the 16 and it's too tight, see? Gotta make sure you don't mess this up. So we gotta loosen this up. Okay. 16 thousandths fits. Perfect. You know, after thinking about that song, for some reason now I'm getting songs from the Grease soundtrack in my head. Ah, brother. Tell me more, tell me more. Gosh. Alright, just one more cylinder to go and we are done. And I'm doing everything on the looser. Whoops. Should probably push that on all the way, huh? Guy could get himself hurt. There we go. I'm doing things on the looser side. I mean, I'm getting, you know, nice tight clearances, but if you gotta choose between going a little tight or a little loose, well, I'm choosing a little loose because we want the engine to run right. Too loose would probably be smoking out the tailpipe, but I think we're nailing it right on, so let's just keep going and finish up this last one. Okay, I just saw the exhaust open. This one right here. I'm gonna get that to open and then close, and then get the intake behind it to open and close, and then get into our little loosey-goosey zone. Wrap this valve adjustment up. Well, yeah, we'll fire it up when we're done and it'll just run like complete garbage. And then we'll be lost and confused, and then the car will be on Craigslist. Just making sure that we don't have any gunk or debris in the way of our valve cover gasket. So that way everything goes back together smoothly. I think we're good to go. I didn't wipe anything down too crazy. It's pretty gosh darn good the way it is, and as we all know, nothing's ever been perfect. We're just getting by in this world, aren't we? And this gasket, this is a really good gasket. I like it. It's who knows how old and completely reusable. That's quality. Wait, we can't put this back on yet. We have to put it in the blast cabinet, media blast it down to bare metal, and paint it. No, no, fight it. Fight it. We're not, no, not today. Not this time. Just put the thing on, Freeman. Just put the stupid valve cover on and finish the job. Is this factory valve cover color, is that a shade of orange or a shade of red? I'm not sure. You know, is this just not how working on cars goes? It's the world's simplest valve cover and somehow, some way, just the nature of it figures out how to mess with you. You know, so somehow it still just does not just go on. It's gotta cause you some sort of pain and suffering. Oh, come on, sweetheart. You are such a simple design, and I respect you, and I appreciate you for everything that you do. I wish now that you would just slip into your home, because beef stroganoff should be waiting for me right now. There we go. Come on, just a little bit more. Okay, all right, yes, okay. You like to be talked to. Now I know. See, it's all about, relationships are all about communication, right? Now, where's my screwdriver? Boy, that is a handsome looking valve cover. I must say, I really like this design. It's simple, yet functional. I gotta say, the screws are a little bit overkill though. Do they really need to be a foot long? But there's other things on this car that are built overkill too, but hey, it's the mark of quality. That's what AMC was going for. What does this car need before it can take its first drive out on the road since 1975? Well, we know the tank is extremely clean. We'll still run an inline filter, but we know it's good. We've looked at that in the previous video, which is crazy that it's spotless in there. And well, so the tank's good, but we need line. The steel line looks pretty good, but there's a bit of rubber hose at the back and then a bit of rubber hose at the front that needs to be replaced. So, well, actually the hose at the back of the car, that's the one we need to replace. Up here it's missing. We just need to stab a new piece in, and we got plenty of 5/16 hose right here to do it. We also got a 5/16 fuel filter to throw in there too. What else does this car need? Well, we need to deal with that transmission leak. Remember, we're assuming it's just a loose pan. We might as well drop the pan, clean it out. It's probably full of goop, and we know that the transmission fluid that's in there is like sewer water. So we might as well, just take the pan off, clean the pan up, reseal it, put new transmission fluid in it. What else does this car need? Okay, brakes, that's the other thing. We need to get this master cylinder off and attempt to rebuild it. That's what I'm thinking. And we do need to bend some new brake lines, and we need to rebuild the wheel cylinders, but all that is not really that big of a deal because I've got all that stuff right here. I've got everything all ready for, excuse my camera work here. I've got everything to rebuild all 4 wheel cylinders, and I've got a roll of brake line here at Freeman's garage. Did we get a little blurry? We did. Okay, our vision's been corrected. Yeah, so I really don't think we have too much to do. Just the things that I listed off, and then the hope will be that the transmission actually does work. So that's not very many feature videos here with the car. to get that stuff done. I do have an oddball sized air filter I already sourced for the air cleaner. I won't show you that yet. We'll wait for a future video with that. And yeah, as soon as we get test drivage done on this thing, then we clean out the interior and detail all that stuff. I'll try to find someone that can make carpet for us probably. Or we'll just do Wally World floor mats or something. I don't know. So yeah, we're almost there, man. And if you're brand new to Freeman's Garage or brand new to this project, please note that the tires on this car are brand new. We threw them on in a previous video of this car. So in the shoe department, we're ready to go as well. After we get past the first test drive with this car and it's road ready and we do the first road trip with this car, I'm telling you, if these cars are part of your memory bank, now buckle up because the memories are gonna hit you like a freight train. No holds barred, I'm pulling out all the stops, so be prepared for that. And right now the entire playlist of this 62 Rambler project is up on your screen right now. If you tap or click on it, it'll take you to every single video in one convenient place. Alright, I'll see you next time. My meat mobile